Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. Thanks so much for joining me, whether you're watching on Facebook or if you're catching the replay on YouTube. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here to help you connect with your people, whether that's gathering to craft together or you making handmade items to share with them. It's all about making and deepening those connections. So let's get to it. Yay, I hit the right button this week. So first up, as always, is our Friday night Stampin' results, and we are flip-flopping again. Russ has won by one vote with his leaves card. It was just back and forth pretty much all weekend. Very close vote the entire time. So, but yeah, one vote put him over the top. So congratulations to Russ. Thank you very much for tuning in. I wanted to point out too how easy this card is. So it was the winner, clear favorite, beautiful colors, but really aside from die cutting, which you could do with some punches or even just cutting little layers like that, it's all just like stamps, ink, and paper. So super, super fun little idea, right? All righty. Toss those over there. I'm starting to make my mess already. So I did want to talk to you about something that's going on in Stampin' Up! World. Very, very fun. Stampin' Up! Has started doing online craft classes. So the first one is coming up October 23rd. So if you purchase the class by the 20th, you'll get the link to join the Facebook group and you can watch it live, which it will be October 23rd at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So that is 3 p.m. Central Time if you're near me, and then you can figure that out from there. But you can always, even if you purchase the class after the 20th or even after the 23rd, you'll be able to view the video on demand, which is great. So that means even if you view it live, you can go back and watch it again and again and start it and stop it and all that kind of stuff. So this particular class, this first one, is based on the Traditions of Christmas suite, which is in the mini catalog. So this suite includes 2 stamp and die bundles, an embossing folder, which, gorgeous, wreath embossing folder, embellishments, a ribbon, and this gorgeous, very kind of traditional Christmas paper. So super, super pretty. So when you purchase the class is only $30, and then you can purchase the suite as well. And there are some additional supplies needed, which is all explained on the page with the class. And the class is number 170073. So if you look up that in my online store, I should have thought to put a link. I'll add a link to the comments and to the video description afterwards. But if you look at that class, it will show you in one of the slides the additional supplies. And it's like blocks and ink colors, some blends, things like that. So if you have been crafting for a little bit, I'm sure you probably have most or all of these supplies. If you're just starting out, that's going to be a little tougher. So, you can decide yourself on your budget, right? If you can get everything you want, but it's a nice way to get your Christmas crafting started. There will be, I believe, 3 cards plus a decor item that they're making. So super fun time. And that'll all be produced by the professionals at Stampin' Up! So very, very fun. And with our Stampin' Rewards program, I don't know if you know this, but every time you buy $20 or more on my online store, you earn 10% Stampin' Rewards. So at $20, you're earning $2 already back, right, for your next order. So if you purchase the class and the suite and any extra products you have, you'll have a nice chunky little reward to spend on your next order. So lots of fun things. Okay, so that is the first online class they've got going on. I personally am starting up in-person classes again. So if you are local to Bloomington, Normal area in Illinois, we are gathering this Thursday, the 16th, for my first in-person class where you'll make these 4 cards. So I've got quite a few people already RSVPing. Yay. I do have some spots available. So if you're interested, you can find the event here on the Facebook page. If you are watching the replay on YouTube and it's before Thursday, just hop on over to facebook.com/StamperNan. I'm Stamper Nan everywhere. And you'll see the event there, and you'll get the link to the online form. Next month, I will be a little quicker and I will start sharing that link to register earlier. So, but yes, so we will be doing these 4 cards. I'm super excited to be stamping with people again. It's actually one of my favorite things to do is to show people new things and to see them create things that maybe they didn't think they could, because that's how I started. I went to my first stamp camp and I walked in and looked at the samples and said, I can't do that. And when I left, all of my cards looked just like the samples and I couldn't believe it. And I was just hooked right then. Okay. So on to what we're working on today. And this week is Sketch Week. So the sketch we are working on today comes out of our current mini catalog, and it is this one right here. Super fun. I'm going to do a very literal interpretation, but then I'm going to give you another sample to show you kind of another way you can go. And then in my newsletter this week, there'll be an even third option for that. So this particular sketch is really great for, guys, seriously, I did not cut my cardstock for tonight. How silly am I? Okay, so I have whites cut right here. Awesome. That's going to be a super helpful thing. I really can't believe I did that. Okay, hold on just a moment while I grab a piece of Lost Lagoon. Thank goodness I had some pre-cut. You might have noticed also that I'm in a slightly different orientation tonight, and that is because I have done something to my knee. It's actually been kind of bothering me since the end of July, but it's really, really bothering me lately. So, and I've noticed when I stand for an extended period of time, especially while I'm crafting and focusing on other things, I forget to bend it. It kind of locks up on me. So I thought I would try sitting to stamp tonight, which is a new thing because I usually stand. Okay, so let's score our card base here. So this particular card that I'm making for you live tonight is pretty monochromatic, which is always classy. And this particular kind of grouping of colors is really good for masculine cards too. I mean, there's like no frou-frou on this card. Super simple, very clean lines, very geometric. So for those of you that struggle with cards for the men and more masculine people in your life, this is a good one. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll show you the papers we are working with. These are from the Timeless Plaid designer papers. And as you know, I love the color coordination with Stampin' Up. Now, Timeless Plaid actually has a lot of different color combinations. There's like some cherry cobbler, there's, corals, there's, some kind of pinkish things, but there's a lot of greens, there's a lot of blues, there's a lot of tans and browns. So it is a really good one to kind of cross all the levels of masculine to feminine, kind of covering everybody. Okay, so I grabbed these 3 particular patterns because I thought they all looked in the same color family. They looked good together, but they were enough different that it would be nice. So what else have I got here? Needed one other thing. Okay. So what I started doing, grab our trimmer, is I just started trimming off 1/2-inch strips of these papers. And this one actually I'm using both sides, so we'll just do a couple of 1/2-inch strips. Like I said, if you have a bunch of little scraps, this is absolutely perfect. And you don't have to have, this pick out just 3 patterns. It could be a hodgepodge. It could be like a quilt kind of effect. And then I am going to trim them into 1.5-inch little strips. So they're 1.5 by 1/2 inch. Now, again, these measurements are not gospel because it is just a sketch. So if you wanted to work with thicker pieces or longer pieces, like that totally all works. The nice part about this too is this is 6 by 6-inch paper. So if you do a 1.5, you'll get exactly 4 of those, right? So then the other side of this guy, I'm going to do the 1.5ers. So I've got 4 of those, and then we need one of our little more plaid ones. This has got some more, a brighter blue and some tan. And the back side of that is green. So we didn't want that for this particular card. At least I didn't. You may feel differently. And isn't that the fabulous thing about making your own stuff? You can do whatever you want and whatever colors you want. Okay. So if you remember, our sketch had diagonal strips of these. So I'm actually going to put my cardstock on the diagonal. Doesn't really matter. So I will say it doesn't really matter if you get this perfect, but I am me, and so I like things to be pretty exact. So you can use a ruler or a piece of cardstock or whatever, but I will say grid paper helps if you're pretty persnickety, and I am going to stand up for this part. I don't think we want it on quite that much of a diagonal. That's probably good. So all I'm doing is putting my ruler along one of these grid lines, and that way I know when I put my papers down that it will be in a straight line. And I, of course, am going to use my liquid glue because that'll give me some wiggle room, right? I don't want to get that glue too close to the edge because I don't want it squishing out. So I'm just going to alternate these patterns, leave a little bit of space between. And then I'm going to move my ruler down. So down to the next grid line would leave me, a little bit, right? But I'm going to move it down 3 grid lines below because on our paper, at least, each of these grids is a 1/4 inch apart. So this is going to be my 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to leave a 1/4 inch between. So now I'm going to start with my middle one so that, it doesn't kind of all go together, right? I'm going to offset these a little bit, kind of like if you're laying bricks, because, that's something we're all familiar with, right? Totally bricklaying on the weekends. But pretty much each of these is going to take 3 of these little strips. And like I said, you could make your strips longer or shorter, fatter, thinner, whatever. Once again, we're going to go down 3 grid lines for me. And we're going to start with that middle pattern again. So that lagoon plaid. It's just about time for me to get a new bottle of ink out or glue out. I have several, so I'm not worried about it. And then we go to our other plaid. Next to our little geometric kind of checkerboard. So a super simple way, anytime you're working with straight lines like that, use your grid paper, use your different, resources, right? Don't make it harder on yourself. For me, that just makes me happy. I know that I've got them pretty well lined up, and they are not perfect by any means. So yeah, now I'm just turning it over. I'm going to trim those edges. As my friend Jamie says, give it a haircut. I've got little liquid glue all over the place. Okay, so we've got that all set. Grab our card base, and we can attach this. And I simply pulled out that Lost Lagoon color out of the designer pack. I think I also, where did I put that little strip? There it is. Like I had a little strip. I'm going to use this for the inside of the card so it matches. Super easy way to dress that up. I'm going to have to clean my scissors when I'm done because I'm cutting through all this liquid glue. That is an easy thing to do. A little bit of rubbing alcohol. Those will be good as new. Okay. Oops. I need that. I'm going to put this to the outside. And now we just need our greeting. All right, let me sit back down. Yeah, I think this little stool is going to be very handy. We actually purchased it when we redid my craft room down here so that I would be able to sit down, and I've never used it, but I'm obviously going to need to now. All right, we have a little grateful for you. I'm actually going to punch this out first because I think this cardstock might be pretty close to 2 inches. And I don't want to stamp it and then realize I can't center that. So there it is. I think actually when I'm sitting down, I make less of a mess. That's weird. Oops, that got very gloopy. So we're going to turn it over. Because the cardstock has 2 sides, guys. That's why we stamp first and assemble later. A little bit of a tap. Much better. Okay. Now, here's the other thing, because I'm just going to put this circle on here, but it looks a little plain without a mat, right? And I absolutely could cut another circle to mat behind it to give it a little more dimension. Or if you don't have a bigger circle maybe, or you don't have that color cardstock, whatever it is, you can take your circle and just run it by the edge over your ink pad, and it will add that little rim of Lost Lagoon. Here, I'll put it on the card. You can see it better. So it gives it kind of a very, very thin matte effect, but no more weight, excuse me, or thickness or anything like that. So it is the perfect solution if you are running out of supplies, or if you just want to keep things very thin and minimal. Just a quick run across your ink pad will give you that perfect mat. And voila, there is our fabulous, easy, scrap-friendly card, right? So that one is pretty simple. That could easily have been done with, keep it simple week, right? But I have a more involved one for you that uses that same sketch. Now this one, I have used the Scenic Adventure Bundle, and I have cut that tree line 3 times and put them on at an angle. And then I went ahead and trimmed everything up to the front. Added a few clouds in the background. Instead of a greeting there, I put those trees, and then I just stamped the greeting down there. So very different style of card, same sketch is how I got there. So, we take this and we have these 9 little strips, but really we're just looking at the diagonalness. That's not a word. We're just looking at how it's diagonal, right? And so that's the feeling I wanted to carry over to this next card. So as I said, in this week's newsletter, I will have a third way you can interpret this sketch that's totally different. So the supply list for the live card, the Grateful for You here, is on the video description, so you can check that out. And those supply lists actually lead you right to a cart, so you can leave everything checked and just add to your cart, or you can uncheck the things you already have or you don't want and add whatever else to cart. So it's really a very helpful, clean, easy way for you to shop. So if you want to recreate any of the cards, you definitely can see those supply lists there. I will also have a supply list for this, plus the third card, as well as measurements for everything in my newsletter this week. So if you don't subscribe yet, head over to stampernann.com and sign up for my newsletter. It is free. It comes out weekly with all sorts of tips and news and color combos and sketches. So super, super helpful resource for you. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure I have not forgotten anything. Oh, yes, the last thing, and I had mentioned this last week, but all through the month of October, we have join offers going on. And I know sometimes you hear that and you think, I don't want to be a demonstrator. Totally understandable. But one of the things I love, I would say the majority of Stampin' Up! Demonstrators are really hobbyists, is what they usually call themselves. I call them discount divas. A lot of people sign up just to get the discount. Some of them sign up just to get the discount on the kit. And then some stay around and just get the discount on their personal purchases. Maybe they get the discount for themselves and a couple of family members, that type of thing. So we have 2 offers going on all through the month of October. The first one is you pick out $125 worth of products, your choice, and you're going to pay $35 plus tax. Free shipping always on all the starter kits. You'll get a free paper pumpkin kit in there. You'll get free business supplies. You'll get all sorts of little, goodies in your kit, as well as the products that you've picked out. And like I said, that is your choice of products. So if you want to go nuts on adhesive, if you want to get all the paper packs, if you want to just stock up on kits for easy crafting, that's up to you. In fact, if you want to, grab the traditions of Christmas, right? The other deal is just as good, and that is $189 worth of products for $99 plus tax. Again, still free shipping, free paper pumpkin kit, free business supplies if you want them, but $189 worth of your choice of products. So this one, if you've had your eye on a die cutting machine, this would be great because you could get that for only $99 plus some other things. You could get that Traditions of Christmas suite, probably, I think, plus the class, all in your starter kit, and be good to go for Christmas. So there's no obligation beyond buying the starter kit. So let me pop up here so I can chat with you now. There's no obligation beyond the starter kit if you want to just buy that and then never do another thing. There, no Stampin' Up! Police will come after you. We have plenty of people who do that because it is such a good deal and there's no penalty for that. If you do want to stick around, there's basically a quarterly minimum, and you have, because you'd be joining in the middle of a quarter, you have until the end of March to make that. So you've got like almost 6 months to make that quarterly minimum. And if you decide at the end of March, you know what, it's not for me, I'm not going to buy anymore, you just go back to being a happy customer and you're absolutely fine. If you want to keep on, then you just keep on making your quarterly minimum until you feel like not anymore. And if you want to hold classes like I do, or do lives like I do, or anything like that, I'm here to support you with that, give you ideas, give you some training, all that type of thing. All that training is also available on the Stampin' Up! Website, which you would have access to the back end of that. So there's a lot of fun stuff there. The other really cool thing is, just this past week, I placed my pre-order for the online exclusives that are coming out in November. So you get early sneak peeks at products about a month early, and you get to order them early, and you still get your discount on everything. So there's some very fun little perks, plus Stampin' Up! Events that are demonstrator only. So if you have any questions about that, there is some information in the video description about joining, and I am always here to answer any questions, again, at no obligation. But I've been doing this for more than 20 years as a demonstrator. I clearly love it. I would clearly love to answer any questions you have. And if you decide, again, even after asking questions, it's not for you, I'm not going to be hurt about it. I'm happy to still continue to be your support for stamping and your other crafting endeavors. All righty. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. Until next, well, this is your reminder that if you got some tips tonight, or if you heard some great, inspiration, whatever, go ahead and either tag your people in the comments or share the video with them so that they can get some tips and inspiration as well. Now, till next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.